Hello everyone, this is Casper Stockham again, and welcome to our continuing series of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We're going to have a great session for you tonight, and we have a great speaker that's going to go through the series with us. He's actually a personal friend of mine I've known for several years now, and I've had a chance to visit with him and his lovely wife in their home. Doc Fran is a retired dental specialist with over 35 years of success in relationship marketing. He has reached the top ranks in 4 companies, building teams of hundreds of thousands of people during his career, and thrives on helping his team members achieve success. Dr. Fran has served on associate advisory boards and medical advisory boards in the industry and has been a sought-after presenter, trainer, motivator, coach, and mentor, and is a $1 million plus earner in our industry. Dr. Fran's wisdom when it comes to the areas of business and marketing is what I rely on every day, and you are in for a real treat tonight as he goes through this series with us. He often calls me the Wizard of Oz, but I call him the Wizard of Wise. So I want to bring on Doc Fran.
Well, Casper, thank you very much for that lovely introduction, and I truly appreciate the privilege of working with you. You're one of the finest leaders, mentors, and coaches in your own right. So hearing that come from you is very gratifying words of praise. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to our leadership training portion of the call. And you know, I'm always delighted to see how many of you make time to be on these important calls. Casper and I are both more than aware of how many time challenges and demands that each of you have. And so we don't take it lightly that you have chosen to value our presentations enough to actually give your time and attention to it. And you know, 90% of success, guys, is simply showing up. So well done. And I'm real excited to do this series. We're working on the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by just an icon in our industry and the master of this subject, John Maxwell. And it really is fun to train this because I have utilized these trainings and these principles in my life. I know Casper has as well. And it's part of the reasons for our success in our industry. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the law of influence, which is the second law in the series. And Casper, if I could have the first slide, please. And you'll see that the law of influence, the subtitle to this is "The True Measure of Leadership is Influence. Nothing more and nothing less." Well, what do we mean by that, folks? Well, if you don't have influence, you'll never be able to lead others. Well, how do you measure influence, you might ask? And I'd like to tell a story that more or less answers that question for us. And in the late summer of 1997, many of you will recall that there were 2 events that occurred less than a week apart. There were the deaths of Princess Diana and Mother Teresa. Now, on the surface, the 2 women could not have been more different. One was a tall, young, glamorous princess from England who circulated in the highest of societies, and the other was a Nobel Prize recipient, a small, elderly Catholic nun born in Albania who served as the poorest of the poor in Calcutta, India. And what is incredible is that their impact in the world was remarkably similar. In 1996, a poll published by the London Daily Mail, Princess Diana and Mother Teresa were voted in first and second place as the world's 2 most caring people. Now, how did someone like Diana to become as influential as a Mother Teresa? The answer is that she demonstrated the power of the law of influence. People were intrigued with Diana, a commoner who had once been a kindergarten teacher. She quickly made it her goal to serve others and raise funds for numerous charitable causes. During this process, she built many important relationships, and this is a clue, guys, with politicians, organizers of humanitarian causes, entertainers, and heads of state. And as time went by, her influence increased as her circle of contacts increased. And so did her ability to make things happen. In the beginning, Diana's title had merely given her a platform to address others. But because of her goal of serving others, she soon became a person of influence in her own right. The next slide, please, Casper. Now, Princess Diana had been characterized in many ways, but one word that I've never heard used to describe her is leader. Yet, that's what she really was. Ultimately, she made things happen because she was an influencer, and a leadership is influence. Nothing more and nothing less. Leadership is not the following things. Many people have so many misconceptions about leadership. When they hear that someone has an impressive title or an assigned leadership position, they assume that he or she is a leader. And you know, sometimes that's true. But true leadership, guys, cannot be awarded, appointed, or assigned. It comes only from influence, and that can't be mandated. It must be earned. The only thing a title can buy is a little time. And in that time, you either increase your level of influence with others or erase it. I hate to be harsh. Now, next slide, please, Casper. There are plenty of misconceptions and myths about people that people embrace about leadership and leaders. And I'd like to go through the 5 most common ones. Next slide. A widespread misunderstanding is that leading and managing are one and the same. The main difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. Managers can maintain a direction, but they can't change it. To move people in a new direction, you need influence. Next slide, please. Frequently, people assume that all salespeople and entrepreneurs are leaders. And again, that's not always the case. Ron Popeil has been called the salesman of the century. But that doesn't make him a leader. People may be buying what he has to sell, but they're not following him. At best, he's able to persuade people for the moment, but he holds no long-term influence with them or can cause changes in the direction of their life. Next slide, please. Sir Francis Bacon once said that knowledge is power. But, folks, I'm here to tell you, thank God, IQ doesn't necessarily equate to leadership. Next slide. Another misconception is that anyone out in front of the crowd is a leader. But to be a leader, a person has to not only be out front, but also have people intentionally coming behind him, following his lead, and acting on his or her vision. And the final slide, please. As mentioned earlier, the greatest misunderstanding about leadership is that people think it is based on position. But folks, you and I both know it's not. It's not the position that makes the leader. It's the leader that makes the position. So the next slide. That really raises the question, who's the real leader? Well, as we've mentioned, leadership is influence. Nothing more and nothing less. In this business, bosses have tremendous leverage and would seem to be leaders because of the leverage that they have in terms of salary, benefits, and perks. Most followers are pretty cooperative when their livelihood is at stake. But in voluntary organizations, such as is the case in our industry, the only thing that works is leadership in its purest form. Leaders have only their influence to aid them. The very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the influencer has no influence with them, then he's not a leader, and the group won't follow. Here's my favorite leadership proverb. He who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. If you can't influence others, they won't follow you. And if they won't follow, you're not a leader. That's the law of influence, folks. And that's what creates your ability to lead. Now, what creates your ability to influence people, as we've seen, is caring, vision, and consistency of message. Develop these traits, and you are well on your way to learning the rule and developing your influence, and well on your way to your role in leadership. And with that, I'm Dr. Fran Clark, your partner for success. Next week, we'll be back with law number 3, the law of process. Casper, I'll turn it back to you.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Fran. As always, great job. And folks, we will see you on the other side as we continue our 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. You have a blessed day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.